let me start by saying that, yes, when you are 130,000 employees across 100 countries, clearly compassionate communication and leadership is really the key, A, to stay connected, and two, to communicate well. Um, for us, it's important to make sure that the employee doesn't become a number. So the first thing that you have to enable is that what we call human experiences through treating everybody as what we call N:1, which means personalized communication despite the number. Paul talked about it. For us, technology is a great enabler, but moments of truth remain human. And therefore, for us to even reach people, to talk to them compassionately, to make sure that we address their psychological safety, their physical safety compassionately, we have to use technology to reach out effectively. Now, clearly, there are many examples that we have done, but there are also some challenges. When you use technology to communicate in a pandemic-like situation, you obviously have to make sure that, make sure that people are geared up to accept, whether it needs reskilling or upskilling, to use these technology tools and to make them effective is not going to be easy. But I'll give you a few examples where without technology, it would have been impossible to communicate with our people and communicate effectively. So we used many tools. You're all aware of our humanoid, which is the K2 humanoid that is in our offices. Now, throughout COVID, because obviously a humanoid is, doesn't have any risk of getting, any disease, 24/7, people could call and ask their queries. And remember, especially when people are stranded across the world, not knowing what the situation is, they needed somebody. They needed somebody 24/7. We also had many apps which provided touchless experience and safety to people and showed our compassion. Compassion, I was Googling as you were speaking, is when you sympathize. And of course, the opposite of compassion is indifference. So we don't want indifference. We have apps like the AI coach. An AI coach is a tool that we use where people actually can connect with each other. It analyzes frequency of communication, tone of communication, and also coaches you in areas that you want online. We have many voice-enabled facial recognition systems which make sure that people are safe. It's used for, since it's voice-enabled, it can use for communication, but also for attendance and other areas. So you don't have to really swipe any cards in our offices. There is technology used for making sure that, we have chatbots. One of our biggest chatbots is called Yugo, which can do everything from applying your leaves to doing first-level recruitment to even filing your bills, etc. There is a tool called Tech Mahindra, very interesting. The T is with a TEA. Clearly, make sure that it's an AI-driven tool which randomly connects to people in today's pandemic age and invites them to a virtual tea session. Now, the problem is today, we only communicate with people we know. But with an AI algorithm, what we make sure is people across the world are stay connected, and we can show our compassion through the various policies and processes that we have. I think the challenge today is that employees are confused, they are anxious, employees are uneasy and worn down. So communication has to be not speculative. Communication has to be clear, positive. And of course, one important thing is we must give a chance to people to connect, but we must give chance to people to grieve in today's situation. And I think we use technology to reach out because 100 countries, people dispersed, and families dispersed. We use technology to make sure it's consistent, effective, and the feedback mechanism in the loop is also effective. So a compassionate communication ends with an effective feedback and loop, which if it's manual, you can lose the essence of what it is. However, as I said, I will close by saying technology is an enabler, movements of truth are yet human. So we must not forget that the reason to use technology is to deliver high touch. And it's not something just for the sake of using an AR, VR tool, but a high-tech enablement of a high-touch scenario. So that's what I think we are doing in a big way, very passionately. We call it human experiences at Tech Mahindra, and that's something that we are very passionate about. It's very interesting you asked that question, and I love Arun's answer. But remember, so the way I see it, we as an IT company are about working from home at about 96% today. I'm actually in the office because that's 4% that's coming to the office is critical, because that's where our customers haven't allowed. And but having said that, I think very clearly the new normal has brought out what I call the big reset. The big reset is it's going to be a mix always of a work from anywhere and work from office. So it's not work from home, but it's work from anywhere. And I think that concept is going to get much stronger. The good thing about the concept is the gig working, even for us as TechM, is increased drastically. And also diversity and inclusivity has become an unintended beneficiary here. So clearly, this is here to stay. At TechM, we have decided that 30% of our workforce will always work from home. Currently, we are less than 8% or 7% in the office, but rest everybody is working from home and will continue to do so. However, having said that, we all have experienced this euphoria of great productivity, efficiency, and people getting all the kind of times. But clearly, there has also been a humongous double shift fatigue. So we are all working at home and from home, because you're also doing home chores. We have also seen clearly that a country like India, where your Wi-Fi connections are still weak because there is no 5G, right? Yet your electricity still goes off. And in the BPO scenario, Anurag, we have 6 people to a room, which is a reality. So, I mean, the euphoria is great and everything is fine, and it will be the new normal. But I think we will have to do a lot more in the infrastructure of the country, the company, and what we want to do for the communities. We went out when the lockdown, relaxation was announced in NCR, and everybody said, fine, go and take a pass and go around from Delhi to Noida. And somebody asked, how the hell are we going to get a pass? And nobody actually thought about it. So we actually said we will do the e-pass system, because manually you can't do it. And therefore, I think the scenario is going to be a mix of work from anywhere and work from office. But we'll have to do a lot more investment. And we have to partner with the government to really do this, to make sure that this is a reality on the infrastructure. I think 5G is going to be a big revolution, which is going to enable and enhance this. But yet, the challenges remain very, very real for a country like India. So in my view, performance is a measure of success against a goalpost. The pandemic has changed all the goalposts, right? It is time for HR folks to really wear a different hat. Remember, when I talk about a $5.5 billion company, 68% is people cost, right? So when I look at the people systems, I think it is a great opportunity for us to build agility and resilience and measure that, because, while goalposts change, success and, performance is measured against those goalposts, and therefore flexibility, agility, and resilience is going to be key for sales. For our salespeople, for example, we clearly saw a trend when the pandemic hit. The good thing was that a lot of companies who were sitting on the fence on digitalization quickly said, we want to go digital, right? Therefore, a new kind of solutions were selling, which were more work from home, which were more what we call workspace as a service. So we actually changed our entire sales plans and in sales incentives to actually make sure that we focus the salespeople performance towards that. Similarly, I think for the performance management system, I think we have made it more continuous performance, because unless the HR systems are agile enough to adapt to the realities of what's happening around, I think we'll be archived. And performance is just about success in a given scenario. And I think like I said, Manmohan said it, it's an opportunity for us to be uniquely agile and really be part of a business in a business sense. I just before coming to this job, I ran a business in Canada. But the point is, when I look at it from this point of view, and you see what the business need is, I think HR is playing a humongous role, and performance management incentives will play a key role on how we actually do that in all our companies. So clearly a very important task, but resilience, agility, I would repeat, are going to be two pillars on which all the performance incentives for sales folks are going to be. I think one of the things that CP actually talks about is think disruptive or you will be disrupted. So I think that's the mantra that we work with. Whatever we think disruptive, and yet we don't want to be disrupted. So I think that's something that I'll leave you with. Beautiful. And I think, Anurag, the first part of the question was the tricky bit, saying how do you manage layoffs? And I can tell you, I'll be very honest here. I think the only yardstick is to make sure that, when you cut salaries, you don't hit the people who can't afford it. Affordability becomes key because survival becomes key. And, in an IT scenario, the majority is at the bottom of the pyramid. And the whole principle is don't hit the people who can't afford it. Don't hit the people who can't survive, and try and communicate it in a way that the leaders stand up and rise to the occasion and say, we will take that hit. But there are also ways to compensate them, saying, okay, I may not give you this today, or I may cut salaries today, but maybe I'll compensate it through another means, whether it could be a long-term incentive scheme, or because a long-term incentive scheme means you tie the leader with the fortunes of the company. And if you get us out of this pandemic, you'll make enough money. But I think those are the two principles that